Oh, I can't believe it. You must have been so angry with me. I'm so sorry. I really wanted to be there more than anything in the world. I swear.
Honestly,
I mean, you
I
can't be
swear.
angry now. My grandmother. I mean,
No,
you
I
can't-
know. I honestly thought that something like that might have happened. I was definitely bummed, but mostly I was just mad we hadn't exchanged any phone numbers or any information.
I know, that was so stupid. No way to get in touch.
I know,
didn't
we had
even know
nothing
your
to
last
go
name.
on.
Nothing.
I know. I mean, but remember, we were both afraid that if we started writing and calling, that it would slowly, fade out.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a slow fade.
No, it sure wasn't.
I know, we wanted to pick it up where we left
Which
off.
would have been fun
Yes,
if it had worked.
a good idea.
Franchise.
Get in like the Marines.
Franchise.
Yeah. We're
Franchise.
in.
Franchise. Franchise the damn thing.
Welcome to Franchise Addicts, a podcast covering every film in a given franchise. My name is Luke.
And I'm Chris.
And this week we continue our series on Richard Linklater's Before trilogy with his 2004 romantic walk and talk sequel, Before Sunset.
It's a great one. I saw this one first in my life.
All right, and I was talking to Chris before.
Yeah.
I've never seen this movie.
Wow.
At
okay.
least not to, fully. I may have caught clips here and there. I thought, if you would have asked me last week, have I seen this movie, I might have lied and said maybe once. After watching it, definitely have never seen this movie. And was kind of shocked by some of the stuff that I got right.
Just like
last week.
Celine, you had phantom memories you thought were real, but actually turned out
I
not
knew
to
that
be.
he would show up and she wouldn't.
Yeah.
That was a complete guess on my part. I
Really?
did not know that that's actually the way that it went. So yes.
Good read.
I'm deeply moved by this movie, and I think it's great. I'm going to put it up top. I don't think it's as good as the first movie from a full movie standpoint, because I want to get this out of the way. I think
Okay.
that Linklater, from a director, has better shots. He's setting everything up in new ways that we haven't seen quite yet because it's the first movie. And I think the Vienna backdrop just works a little bit better from a visual standpoint. This movie is a little bit more technical with the walking and talking and the long scenes without cuts and stuff like that. So technically, still doing incredible work. Just from a visual standpoint, I don't think it quite stands up. So I don't think Linklater from a camera perspective is doing as much good work in this movie.
Yeah.
The writing is just at a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And the maturity of the performers, the maturity of the writing, a decade later, kind of enhances the first movie. But I just, as a full thing, I don't think it quite matches it.
Okay.
I almost said lives up, because it does definitely live up, because it's better in different ways.
Yeah, okay. I buy that. I can see where you're coming from. I would and I guess, I just like they say when they're talking about Jesse's book, how you interpret this movie might, what does that say about you? And what does it say about you, which movie is your favorite and all that? I think there's probably a lot of interesting things you could talk about there, but I think this is an amazing sequel. And but it is a different thing. But you couldn't make, if they're like, hey, let's do Before Sunrise, but it's just going to be bigger, better.
No.
Of course that would be foolish, and you couldn't do that. So you have to make a sequel to that is successful. I mean, there's not a better way to do it. And no, there's not. I mean, it's 80 minutes. It's short, so short. Its objectives and what it's dealing with are completely different, but that's brilliant.
Do you want me to introduce my radical idea,
Hot
which is
take?
it's just the most hack thing you can do in podcasting, especially podcasting about movies or TV shows.
Yeah.
Where you ask this lead-in question.
Yeah, let's do that.
Did Before Sunset invent podcasting? Because
What?
it basically is an entire movie where the two main characters are just rehashing the whole first movie and giving their in-depth ideas about those characters.
Analysis.
And what they were thinking in that moment and whether or not it would transition into the next movie.
They would both be great podcasters.
I mean, that's all it is. They're just like, hey, you wrote this book about our one night together. Let's rehash it. Let's go back over
Let's
this.
deep dive. Let's
Yeah.
get into the analytics. But it's just because it's a full conversation. It's a long conversation about that, and it detours into other areas here and there. So by definition, it is the same thing as a podcast.
I mean, Chris, we could have walked and talked through Paris and had somebody videotape us, and it would be before sunset.
I feel like I got those vibes when we were discussing Alien Covenant.
That's true.
Yeah,
that was a magical moment.
It was, I mean, I did the David voice. There was laughter.
You fingered the pipes.
Yeah.
Or you fingered the hole in the pipe.
Yeah. There was symphonies in us that day. So I think that it is. It's because it's a long conversation. It's a deep, thoughtful conversation. I will tell you, I wish that I had the conversational prowess of Celine for sure, or of Jessie. But Celine, I mean, she's just constantly off the dome coming up with these amazing things to say back.
For sure.
Without and I'm just like, and there are people that can talk like that. Wow, it's just great. There's just never a dull moment. I mean, they have a little bit of awkwardness in the beginning.
No, they jump right back into it.
Really, it's very entertaining to listen to.
I mean, because we have the first movie there, the chemistry makes sense in this movie, but the chemistry, again, just jumps off the screen when these two finally see each other again in the cafe.
And it takes a little, yeah.
It takes a little bit to do the reintroduction and stuff and to get back into the flow, but as soon as they're back into the flow, you're just like, here we go.
Well, and it's slowly it magnifies with more and more time with each wall that's dropped between them, which each the closer and closer they get to saying what they really want to say. I was thinking that this movie plays almost in some ways like an action movie. The movies that obviously we've just done quite a lot of those. But
we've never done an action
movie. Never done an action movie? Yeah, that's right. I mean, all those later Terminators were romantic comedies.
Absolutely.
When Arnold was, oh my gosh, when he was, what would Pops?
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
I mean, he's just trying to live a peaceful, tranquil life, and, stuff just keeps finding him.
So maybe this is our first action movie, and the reason I would say that it has the qualities of it is because, okay, so you have the conversation. This is a short conversation. It is in like real time, so the clock is ticking. Yep. And you slowly start to see, like, okay, where's it going to go? Because we, as the audience, we know where we think we want it to go, right? We naturally want them to reconcile and to find that love that they had in the first movie, because of course we do. And so slowly we start to see, like, okay, they're moving towards it. Okay, he's putting this wall down. She's taking that wall down. It's getting closer. But then you have like multiple times during this 80-minute conversation where you're like, I think it's done. I think it's done. I have to go right now. I have to go. And then, okay, well, wait, I'm going to find a way out of this situation. He John McClane's it, right? He's Jump on the boat. Do you have a cell phone? We can make this last longer. I
can stretch 15 more minutes out of this.
Yeah, and so you constantly think, and it is like, and I think it just shows the inherent, the how much we've invested in these characters, that we when that starts to happen and we think that their time might be over and they might not get to say the things that we want them to say, that we get like stressed and oh gosh, they're gonna leave right now. He's just gonna hug them, or like you're just gonna maybe give a hug and be like, yeah, it was nice catching up, see you later. You don't want that to happen, yet they find a way to keep this exciting and kind of exhilarating, which for a conversational movie that is essentially the simplest thing ever as far as shots, composition, everything, that's pretty impressive.
So I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that this movie reminded me a lot of My Dinner with Andre. I don't know if you've ever caught that flick.
No, I've heard of it.
Yeah, 1991 movie, directed by Louis Malle, writers Wallace Shaw and Andre Gregory, who star as themselves.
Okay.
And the entire movie is just a conversation that they have at dinner. So yes, a very famous kind of bottle episode type movie where it's all happens in one location. It's just about the characters that happen to be in that location, and it is just a conversation where two friends catch up about their lives. This movie, Before Sun Set, very similar, where they're catching up. Jesse and Celine are catching up on the 9 years that have passed since their one special night in Vienna. This movie came out in 2004.
Yeah.
9 years later, after the first movie was made, the actors have obviously aged 9 years, and the characters in this movie have aged 9 years.
Did you think they looked very different? I did not.
Hawk definitely looks older.
Yeah, that's what my partner said, but
Delpy looks even prettier somehow.
she's not a fat French girl.
No, she looks great. Hawk definitely looks like he's been smoking,
Really?
a couple packs of cigarettes a day.
I mean, I think naturally he doesn't look like he's 22.
Yeah, his face is a little bit more drawn,
But, okay. All right.
a little bit more weather. A little bit more
Yeah,
weather in
okay.
there.
Yeah, sure.
That's what happens when you're a famous actor, from like 13, 15, whatever he is in Dead Poets on.
Life comes at you
It
fast.
does. Directed again by Richard Linklater. Change up on the writers. I mentioned it last week that Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy eventually got writing credits. This is the first movie they got writing credits on. So it is attributed to Richard Linklater, Ethan Hawke, and Julie Delpy on the writing. Had a budget of $2.7 million, basically nothing. It flipped that to double it domestically, $5 million domestic, $11 million international. So if you can do the math on that, that's $16 to $17 million total.
Okay.
Again, probably just killed DVD sales after it was released that way. And it was nominated for an Oscar.
Adapted screenplay?
Best Adapted Screenplay at the 2005 Academy Awards. It ended up losing. So it was adapted because sequels always have to be put into adapted. That's an Academy Awards rule. It lost to Sideways.
That was a big one.
Alexander Payne movie.
That was a big
which
one.
is a great movie.
Loved all. It was that.
Kate
was good.
Merlot. Loved that movie.
You know what won Best Picture that year? I hate this. $1 Million Baby. Do you like $1 Million Baby? I think it sucks.
I definitely don't think it sucks.
No.
It's not a Clint Eastwood movie I'm going back to often.
I was actively angry at this time in my life. I mean, just in general.
Yeah.
But I was just like the Clint Eastwood movies, this and Mystic River. I just thought that
Mystic River's good.
I'm sure it is. I mean, again, this is a reflection of I don't know where I was in the early aughts, but just like these movies where it's just like, we're going to do things that are just obviously sad, pull at your heartstrings, and old Clint's doing it again. And I don't care at all about that. I don't know. That was just my own gripe. Of course, and I'm sure it's well executed, right? But I don't know. It just obviously sad situations but I'm sure I actually do like movies that also do that too. I was just biased against Clint and Sean Penn in the early aughts. I don't know what happened to me.
Shout out Clint. This film was shot in real time, so the running time of this is 80 minutes. It takes about an hour and 20 minutes of real time.
I was stunned at how short this was.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I couldn't believe it.
It's great.
Yeah.
Julie Delpy wrote the Celine song, so this
Okay.
opens with a Julie Delpy song and closes with a Julie Delpy song. She wrote The Waltz for a Night. Mm-hmm.
It opens with a song from her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
didn't catch that.
Oh, so the ending was improvised. So when the Nina Simone song was playing, Julie Delpy was doing the act outs and whatever, and the Baby You're Gonna Miss That Plane was improv'd, ended up keeping it. Linklater apparently shot multiple endings, but had an idea when he saw that take. He's like, that's the one I'm gonna end up using. So
do you know anything about the alternate endings?
nope, didn't get anything on that.
Was there one where Ethan Hawke just throws on Disturbed? Did you check this shit out?
No, there was one though when she started doing her weird Nina Simone where he just got up and was like, I can't handle this for the rest of my life, and just goes and gets the plane.
Okay.
That's not true, but that would be hilarious. if that was like his shatter moment where he's like completely in love with this person, and then she starts doing this goofy like act out, and he's like,
I just don't
I'm
get
gonna
where
have
you're going with
I'm gonna
this.
have to fucking deal with this.
Oh my god,
Oh my
what? Where's this story?
She's just always doing bits.
She's always. So that's interesting to know, though. I have thoughts on the ending and the specifics of what is. So do you think were the lines written as far as her talking about the fact that Nina Simone just like gets up and is lacklusterly walking out to the audience and doesn't seem
I think
to
that's
care?
where the improv begins. Is she's just doing that
Okay.
scene basically.
Okay. Talk more about it.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll get to that when we actually talk about the ending. But this is basically, there are cuts to these scenes, but essentially it just is following them for the entire hour and 20 minutes. We'll try to talk about it chronologically, but obviously we're going to be jumping around a little bit, just because that's the nature of this movie. It's not really blocked into specific scenes, but we'll try to hit it.
We jump.
We begin with Jesse at a bookstore, talking to some fans of his, potentially some writers, critics and stuff like that, answering questions about the book that he has written. One of the writers is pushing him on whether or not this is a true story or whether he completely made it up.
That would take the piss out of it.
Yeah. But he ends up begrudgingly basically saying, like, yeah, it is based on true things and whatever. And then goes on to pitch his idea for a new book.
Yeah, what do you think about that book?
I mean, it definitely sounds like...
I think he's lucky he got this one off the ground.
It definitely sounds like a writer who just made a successful book off of something that he knew super well.
Yeah.
So, like, it was going to go... If he nails it,
Listen
it's
up,
going to go
guys.
off well. And then he's like, but I got a crazy idea.
It's a pop song. It's a whole book. Also, my daughter turns into the woman I lost my virginity to.
Well, yeah, and the entire idea is that we're all connected through time and things are happening simultaneously.
The Tree of Life?
Yes.
Is he writing the Tree of Life?
He might be. Get Terry.
But with
Get
a
Terry on the line.
With a weird, my daughter is my girlfriend angle to it? I don't know.
He definitely got bailed out by Julie Delpy appearing out of the corner of his eye.
People were really starting to like look at him sideways. Like,
And
are
he's
you
like-
for real?
Yeah, he's like, let's wrap this pitch up. Thankfully, he's got that agent guy, too, the owner of the bookstore, who let him... He can't be making that much money if he's crashing
It's like
on the second floor of bookstores.
It's like a
to do the
comedy
signings.
condo when those guys like tour and they have to sleep in like the these trashy comedy condos. Did you ever hear about that?
Yes, I have heard about
Yeah,
that. I know the one in Madison that they put him up at.
Yeah, apparently they're not very nice.
Whatever.
Yeah, they don't care. It's the life.
Yeah.
But Jesse,
The mean streets, how else are you supposed to be funny than to get put in shitty situations
sleep
and have to
in
get out of them?
things you don't want to put a black
It's
light
just
to.
working. So they end up having a quick conversation at the bookstore and deciding that they're going to spend some time with each other. This begins Jesse's, like, I'm going to milk the amount of time that I have before my plane leaves as much as possible, because they do a great thing, which, just like the first movie, where they have a definitive ending point that is supposed to happen, and it involves public transportation. Hey, I have to fly out tomorrow. This is all the time that we have.
Yeah.
And they set it up again. Hey, your plane leaves at this time. We've got a driver. We've got your stuff. They're willing to pick you up from wherever, but you have to leave at this time.
Because it's post 9/11, so he has to get there like 3 hours
Yes,
early.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
but in my
He
life,
usually tries to carry like 9 bottles of water onto the plane, and they're like, "Sir, you're gonna have to dump every single one of those out.
I don't get this liquid thing. Take my shoes off. What?
You can't hide a bomb in a tube of toothpaste."
Wait, what did I just say? Oh no, I've got to go in the office now. Damn it. Yeah, and I also, as someone that does not like to get to the airport as early as people say I should get to the airport,
You don't like to get anywhere.
This
as
is
early
true.
as
I don't.
people say.
I have a fear of being early. So Jesse, I feel you on that. And so he's gonna milk the time. He is also he's writing this book, and I know we later get into the fact that this was done. He says why he did it, but Do you also know, and I think we did talk about this last week, that the Richard Linklater, he wrote the Before Sunrise movie as a calling card to that one evening he had in the 80s. And so this is that coming to life.
Yeah, Celine essentially gets Jesse to admit that he wrote the book as like a call out to her.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other way I'm going to attract this person's attention because I have no other information about her.
So why do men do things?
Yeah. So obsessive personality.
Not for the love of writing, because it was like, I need to do this.
I got to get laid again.
I got to make this good to get it published so she'll see it.
I do like his aside bit where he was definitely telling the truth about what his dad said about French girls. She's like, your dad said that about French girls? And he's like, nah. He's a crazy old guy. But for sure his dad was like, oh yeah, son, you found a beautiful French girl.
His dad was taking the piss out of him.
Like, she hasn't thought about you for a moment after.
And for the first 30 to 40 minutes, it kind of seems like that's true.
Yeah, she's definitely downplaying like the night as much as she
She's
possibly
like, oh, yeah,
can.
I had a funeral. I'm so sorry. I had the funeral, and whatever.
Would you miss potentially reuniting with your true love, an amazing night that you spent together in Vienna because your grandmother died and you had to be at the funeral?
I mean, she's
Do
not going.
Do you think your grandmother would understand?
She's not going anywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's kind of like one of these things is not like the other. There's.
Would Jesse have not gone to Vienna if the shoe was on his foot?
No way. Jesse would be like, "Don't worry, I'll send flowers. It's fine."
How about we push the funeral back a week?
Yeah, listen, I got some stuff going on. Anyways, I got
I
this
gotta go
theory
see
on
about a girl.
I got these theories on souls. I'll tell you about them later. I got a hot take on souls and reincarnation. Anyways, guys, I'm going. So no.
Have you ever noticed how certain pop songs from your childhood make you think about
Like, oh
whether or not you fell in love with someone because they remind you of your kid?
He's talking again, guys. Yeah, Jesse, get out of here. Go. Don't worry, Grandma's fine. Grandma understands. She loves encouraging you with your writing.
Woo. It almost sounds like a real pain where Culkin is just like complaining about his grandma being dead the entire movie.
Yeah, there's some similarities between those two characters.
There is similarities between those two movies.
Sure. They are very conversationally based. But also very different.
Yeah. But, I mean, I feel like some of the stuff that the Culkin character is saying in A Real Pain is kind of what Delpy's saying, too, with, like, you get emotionally attached to these little bits and pieces about a person, and then when they're gone, you think you should be getting over it completely because you're kind of over the larger idea of it, but then these details start hitting you over and over again, and you're like, God damn it, I'm not over the details.
Yeah, and they're both doing the same thing. They're midlife, I guess midlife, it's kind of early to say it's their midlife, but reflections on life so far, and the cynicism that can creep into life due to things, not going exactly how you wanted them to.
Yeah, I was very confused. I guess it's not confusing because it ends up resolving itself, but when she was, saying that she didn't remember them sleeping together at the end of the night.
Yeah, what's up with that? I mean, come on.
And
that's cold.
Jesse immediately is
that's cold.
He calls her out on it like, no, you're just saying that.
Yeah.
Like to be mean. And then like at near the end of the movie, she's
she
like,
is.
She is like, yeah, I was trying to take that from you.
Yeah, I don't, she's playing games.
But so they're having conversation as they're walking. She mentions a cafe that they're going to end up at. And as they're walking, they're going over, the misconnection of the whole Vienna situation, why she missed it, how she feels so bad because he went and he's doing the fun thing where you're like kind of giving him shit, but like at the same time being like, it's fine. Like,
they're both playing it. They're both so cool with it.
Yeah.
So cool. Just like,
but Jesse is like,
what the fuck?
But he's fitting in the painful thing, like using humor as like the shield around it. Like, oh yeah, no. And then I stayed there for a couple days, and like, no, it wasn't the worst moment of my life, but
Just
like,
been all downhill from there.
yeah, it just really
a little
sucked.
Self-deprecating humor.
No, I definitely went there, and like a little puppy just sat there the entire time crying that my owner didn't come.
I love that he said, I did meet another girl, and the story is an amalgamation of both of you.
Yeah. And then she calls him out on it, and he's like, yep, that's not true.
That's actually not true. I cried.
Not true at all. Nope.
I cried the whole time.
Bawled my
in the fetal
eyes.
position.
And so, you know, they continue to walk through, and they end up at the cafe. Obviously, every American has to point to cafes in Europe and be like, why don't we have these in America?
Why don't we, man?
And I think it's
Starbucks.
And they finally smoke cigarettes.
They finally do.
Oh, I was cheering.
Yeah.
I was like, man, cigarettes are so cool.
Yeah, and
They're
I
like the
remember, do you
coolest
remember,
thing in the world.
did you ever do like the whole let me light it from yours?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of
All
course.
the time.
Classic.
Yeah. And then we get just an incredible monologue where Celine tells a story about how she had moved to America for a period of time. Jesse's like, what the hell? You
Yeah.
moved to America? He's like, where? New York. He's like, I lived in New York during this time. They lived in New York like, I think 2 years at the same time. Yeah, crossed over. And then she tells the story of why she decided to leave New York.
The gun monologue.
Very good. This is like a Tarantino-esque monologue.
What brought you back here?
I had finished my master's for one, and no more visa. And anyway, I was starting to get paranoid. All the violence in the media, gang violence, murders,
Yeah, right.
especially serial killers. But the final straw was, one night I heard some noise on my fire escape, so I called 911, and the cops came eventually.
Yeah, like 3 hours later.
Yeah, after I had been raped and killed about 3 times. No, but it was a man and a woman officer. And I was explaining to them what I had heard when the woman had to run downstairs to move the police car. So I was left alone with a male cop. And right away, he asked me if I had a gun. And I said, no, of course not. And he told me, well, you better think about getting one. This is America, not France, okay? And I said to him, you know, I have no idea how to shoot a gun, and I have no interest in firearms whatsoever. And that's when he pulled out his gun, like this.
It gave me an NRA card.
On one day, you're gonna have something
was actually
like
Charleston
this
Heston.
in your face.
Gave me this red
Before
hat
I
with
was-
this straight brim
Yeah.
pointed at the
He
top.
said, just
Between
wait.
you, alone. And then they left. And the next morning, I called for an application to get a gun. Me with a gun. I mean, that's really scary.
I don't buy it.
I mean, Tarantino wishes he wrote this
Yeah.
monologue.
You know what they
For-
call a gun in Paris?
I don't know. What do they call it?
A Royale with cheese.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Now, Tarantino could never have written this monologue because he famously doesn't write very well for women.
This is true. Yeah, I guess. Even though he champions them and like,
Unless it's Uma Thurman.
well, yeah, because a huge
Or
part of her, like
Jackie Brown.
I think the first the middle 3 movies of his are like the female empowerment.
But don't
Death-
have any of his famous monologues.
Oh, but the Death Proof has some decent stuff. Death Proof is slept on so much.
You always talk about
And
it.
I will always say that.
Always
Death
talk
Proof is a great movie. And people look at it as minor Tarantino, and I think that's absolutely wrong.
That's because you've moved that movie into your heart where most people have Jackie Brown as their, like, slept-on Tarantino that
Yeah, I could
more people should watch.
I watched it once, so I know that's like it's a semi-blind spot, but I don't know. And the whole thing, like, people forget about Grindhouse and that experience. Nobody even saw Grindhouse as far as seeing the Rodriguez movie and the Tarantino movie with the fake trailers. That was a great experience. It lasted for like 2 weeks. So I feel very cool that I was part of it, and I'm going to talk about it for the rest of my life.
Gotta do it.
Oh, man.
So, very, very good monologue. Ciara barking in the background because she does not like being put away while we record, but that's just life. This is where I think they finally start to flow into that, like, conversation about their lives a little bit more. I feel like this story right here is kind of the turning point, and then they get more philosophical, get more, like,
Yeah.
into what actually happened instead of just kind of rehashing stuff that they didn't already know.
And talking about the state of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. This is a bit of a transitional point. They start to laugh a little more. They share the cigarettes.
They're
Coming
getting
down.
comfortable.
They're getting comfortable.
Yep.
They're letting their hair
Back
down.
into the
She
sun.
literally lets her hair down
Yeah.
in this scene. So, you know.
Makes the joke about, whether or not she's looks the way that he expected her to look 9 years later.
Yeah. and
Is
he's
she
got
fat?
He's got that picture, that mental picture.
he can call back to it. So they go from there, and again, they got to keep walking. They got to keep moving. There's a park that they're gonna walk to out of the cafe because Jesse wants to see this actual city since he's gonna be on a plane and sitting in an airport for a while. So he might as well get up and walk around instead of just sitting in a cafe. They eventually they get to the conversation where he talks about being married. She finally calls him on the fact. Rebecca clocked it like from the moment the movie started that he had a ring on.
So did Bella.
And
Which, meanwhile, I didn't catch that at all.
not until she pointed it out.
Yeah,
which
I was like,
again was within the first 5 minutes of the movie. So I knew from then on, but I would not have clocked it.
I was
for
like,
a while.
oh, okay. Anyways, interesting.
And so he ends up, they have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the fact that he's married. She knows this because she researched him.
Gulp.
Yep. Happily married, has a kid. He talks about his kid. And, the troubles that he's having in his relationship. She then feels free to open up about her failed relationships over the last 9 years. And we're kind of beginning to build, like, where are these two? What can be accomplished with this happen chance meeting in Paris? Yeah, he's talked about his relationship. She's opening about her failed relationships. And then they start getting into more in-depth conversation.
Flirty, sexy.
Yeah, they start talking about, friends that they've had that had different, like, safe words and issues with, being intimate with people and stuff like that.
Yeah, they get into the thing where, like, oh, so they've acknowledged that there's relationships, and then they're also going to slowly walk into the field of, like, but we're still going to flirt, right? I mean, yeah, the it's a little tough, am I right?
Yeah, and she sets it up with, like, if this was our last day on Earth, what would we talk about?
Yeah.
And Jesse does the thing that you should do, which is think about it logically and be like, well, obviously I wouldn't talk about, global warming or, just our whatever. But he's like, but I would keep talking about God and spirituality as it relates to, like, you and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And again, what we talked about, it starts happening in the cafe, but on this walk is when the walls are fully coming down, and now they're having, like, as real conversations about their relationship as they possibly can.
He's sliding down the pole.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to have sex with her on a park bench again. Like, this man just loves public sexual experiences.
He's into it.
Yeah.
He's a freak. But I think that's interesting that the sliding down the pole thing as they're going down the stairs, because it's, I mean, so what? He's like 32. Probably not something that, I mean, would you do that? Are you walking down are you in a park and you're just
I
like,
wouldn't do that while I was, like, walking with someone I liked.
But if you didn't like them, you'd do that?
Maybe if I was walking with you, Chris, and I wanted to
do
show
that?
off a little bit.
Okay.
Be like, parkour, dude.
Check this out, baby. Woo!
I bet you I can grab those rails too.
Yeah, look at this. Check it out. Hold on. I'm going to get up on this.
Kickflip.
What? What are you doing, man? Yeah, but I don't know that it was necessarily super attractive on his part, but it is like this, like, you could say maybe this is one part where the writing is a little too on the nose, or but, like, he's like, I'm going back to my youth. Look, like, I'm starting to feel young again. I'm in my 20s. I slide down those rails, and but then, yeah, they start to get into sex, of course, right? So they change the topic.
I mean, Jesse is more than willing to he invites all conversations about sex.
Yeah, as per usual, and she gets into the dirty words and the surveys and everything like that, and we get when she says, well, do you think if I said pussy,
He's like, I love it.
He's like, I would love that. I'd be so down. I'd be so down with that word, dude. And you're like, oh, whoa, okay, watch it. Slow your roll.
Hey, it's 2025 now. You can't be saying that.
So this is good. They start to kind of turn the heat up, and they're in dangerous territory, though, and they know it.
I wanted to ask you this, since the walls have come down and they're starting to get into the real conversation. It felt to me, at least, that the two characters had flipped from the first movie. Like their outlooks on life,
cynic and romantic.
Yeah. So Ethan Hawke is kind of like he's in a bad relationship, but it's not like bringing him down, because with Celine right now, he feels romantic again. He feels hope. Like it's almost like he's been so devoid of it that when it shows back up again, he becomes a believer immediately. Whereas Celine has just been broken down. And when she sees Jesse again, it's terrifying to her. He's like ecstatic. He's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And she's like, this is just going to end and I'm going to be tragically left again.
It just talks about, I think, their outlooks on life in general. And I mean, in the first, we said that, I think we were saying that, you know, Jesse was trying to present as the cynic, but he was maybe the romantic, and Celine was doing the opposite in the first movie. And this one, I think, you know, you'd say, oh, Jesse's definitely presenting as more of the romantic,
positive outlook on life. Because they even have the scene where she's
talking about the world.
She's talking about how everything's burning to the ground. Like,
yeah, but there's
people
good
don't
stuff
care
happening.
But he's like, I get all that. Yeah, you're
also
right.
good stuff.
Yeah. And he's like, but some things are good.
You see these new iPods they got going on?
They're great.
They're awesome.
Steve Jobs, he's going to live forever.
I fit all these songs. It's in my pocket. So
I keep on getting new U2 albums. It's weird.
Your MySpace? It's great.
Heard the song Vertigo? Uno, dos, tres, catorce?
Is that timely?
I mean, it's timely for our references, which are usually mid 2000s.
That's right on. That tracks. You guys hear the Strokes? They're great. This garage rock scene in New York is very happening. It's very, very cool.
Very, very cool.
So, but she's the cynic. But I think that they both go back and forth. Like, they both have elements of both of those people in them. And I think we see both of those aspects of their personalities throughout the movie. Sometimes they balance each other out. Yeah?
Oh, for sure. And on the boat scene, which gets us back to where we are, we get the two sides of it. So we get Jesse, who's going to kind of have that hope for beauty throughout time, and then Celine, who is going to counteract that in her own way. So we get to Jesse talking about the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Sure.
Oh, wow. Notre Dame, man, check that out. I heard the story once about when the Germans were occupying Paris and they had to retreat back. They wired Notre Dame to blow, but they had to leave one guy in charge of hitting the switch. And the soldier, he couldn't do it. He just sat there knocked out by how beautiful the place was. And then when the Allied troops came in, they found all the explosives just lying there and the switch unturned. And they found the same thing at Sacré-Cœur, Eiffel Tower, a couple other places, I think.
Is that true?
I don't know. I always liked the story, though.
I don't know why I always like the story, though. And this is obviously a metaphor for the way that he's looking back on past moments in his life where
he can't erase. He doesn't want to erase.
Yeah, not to. The fuses were all set for him to just forget about this one night that happened in Vienna with this girl that he's never going to be able to get in contact with before. He could have lit the fuse. He could have blown it all up and never thought about it again. But because he was, blown away by the beauty of that moment, it's not something that he ever wants to erase from his memory.
Yeah, he's got that core romantic, and she sees things very, very differently. These things were... she talks about other romantic situations where things were taken from her, and that she is the way she's coping and surviving is shutting all these things off. She's in this relationship with this war photographer who's never around. You know, he's,
Yeah, so she can be in love with someone that's not there.
yeah. So they're coping in different ways, which is one of the things that this movie does so well, which is talking about how we cope with things at this point in our life. Like, taking people that are, in their 30s or 40s and saying, okay, so life has thrown some things at you. Are you going to be more cynical because of that? Or are you going to open your heart up and kind of stay with a more hopeful, romantic outlook on life? And why? And what's behind that? And what makes you think that? And there's so many things that are just so true to this, to being at this point in your life, talking about the connections too. Like life becomes, I think, smaller as you get older as far as your circles and the connections you have. But they were talking back about saying, when we were in our 20s, we just thought that there would be a limitless amount of connections that would be made. And then you go on to find that later on in life that there's maybe only a few. And like having the wisdom that they have from being those idealistic, youths to being a little wiser, but as a result, maybe a little more jaded or sad, or if you're Jesse, maybe you don't let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who recently, within the last couple of years, transitioned from my 20s to my 30s, like the stuff that happens in your 20s in a way is more tragic because they happened and you didn't have the tools to deal with them at that time because you just didn't have the life experience. So it is tragic because you look back on those moments and you're like, I couldn't have done anything else different because I had no idea what to do at that time. Whereas when things happen to you in your 30s, you have the tools, you have the wherewithal most of the time to deal with those. And so it just makes the decisions that you have to make in the present way harder because for the most part, what the right answer is. But there's still that kind of childish idea that's like, but maybe it won't happen this way this time.
Yeah.
And so you can, basically where this movie ends up at the end is that exact moment that happens in your 30s all the time where you're like, this could be the worst idea possible because I know from previous things that happened 10 years ago that it blows up in my face every single time I do this. I have the tools, I have the experience now to look at this situation straight on and make the best decision. And, that's where Before Midnight comes in.
Yeah.
Was it the right decision? Because then you add even more experience and then, you're looking at being in your late 40s, early 50s, looking back at 30 and thinking the same thing. Or like, gosh, I still didn't even have all the tools at 30.
If the first movie is very optimistic and young and very idealistic, and the third movie is maybe the opposite of that, we can talk about that when we get there. This one is the middle point, and this is the middle point of life where there's we've got it's kind of like the cup is just half full. Well, no, it's just we truly are like it's a teeter-totter on which way we're gonna go with things. And life maybe hasn't beaten us down that much, but we've taken some hits. And how are we going to approach life? And also, that this movie gives us the idea of the absolute excitement and absolute excitement, romanticism, and aliveness that is in every moment here, which I think as we get older we can forget. It's easy to forget, right? I can just, I run a daycare center with someone I used to date. Oh, it's every day is exactly the same. I'm just working. I've got these obligations. But in this moment that they find themselves in, the absolute aliveness of just being where they are now, of making the decisions that they are going to make right now, everything is so exciting and it's so alive and it's so in the present moment. Which, I mean, there's nothing more exciting than that.
Yeah, and so we talked about in the last movie about how you thought about the ending, whether or not they would see each other again, divided you between cynic and romantic, which, again, Jesse literally says at the beginning of this movie when he's explaining to the people at the bookstore what the story is about. And in this movie, it's not even really about, like, the ending is not about romantic versus the cynic. It's like the responsible versus the irresponsible of what they're about to do. Because I will tell you this much. This was a way harder watch with my significant other than the first movie. The first movie you can go through with your significant other and you're reminiscing about your first dates. And it's great and all that stuff. In this movie, it's, man, he is married and has a kid, and it looks like he is willing to throw that all away for this girl he met one time. You know, what about like, is his relationship as bad as he's saying
maybe
it?
he's just trying to get laid.
Yeah, like, is he being sleazy? We don't know. We've never met his wife. We've never met his kid.
She could be lovely. She sounds lovely.
He could be the reason the relationship is failing completely.
Yeah.
Because he's obsessed with this figment of his imagination that he met one time and has no way of contacting ever again, and he just can't get over it. And, like, is it fair to the person that he's been in a relationship for the last 5 or however many years it's been that he had those thoughts the entire time? And, I mean, he even gets into it where he's like, before the wedding, I'm seeing you, Celine, like,
it's
on
killer.
the street and going, like, I wish it was you I was marrying and
then
not
she's
this
like,
person.
11th and Broadway. I lived in 11th and Broadway. That was probably me. Yeah. Oh, killer. Oh,
and
man.
So, like, Jesse, if you want to look at the negative side of this, Jesse is a super irresponsible father and a husband who is just writing this book while being married in the hopes that this girl reaches back out to him. And then as soon as she does, he is, like, all in.
I'm off. Yeah.
He is trying to spend as much time with this person. She is trying to be the responsible one, being like, just get back on the plane. Like,
hey, I heard you're married.
We recapped everything. We came to an understanding. This is good.
Wanted to say I'm sorry.
Yeah. And, like, we should just leave it at this. And Jesse's just keeps on being like, but no, my relationship is in shambles.
Let me tell you, it's so bad. There's that line. He's like, my life is horrible. Or something like, it sucks every day.
If I just replaced you with her and, like, was able to still keep my kid, think how amazing. Okay. So yeah, that's all what's basically going through Jesse's mind while they're having this conversation on the boat. And then we get into Celine and what has been bringing her down, what has hurt her the most about these past failed relationships and about thinking constantly about the night that her and Jesse spent together. And she talks about that here.
Like, I'm obsessed with little things. Maybe I'm crazy, but when I was a little girl, my mom told me that I was always late to school. One day she followed me to see why. I was looking at chestnuts falling from the trees, rolling on the sidewalk, or ants crossing the road, the way a leaf casts a shadow on a tree trunk. Little things. I think it's the same with people. I see in them little details so specific to each of them that move me and that I miss and will always miss. You can never replace anyone because everyone is made of such beautiful, specific details.
It's in the attempt. So, you know, we talked about that line from the first movie that God is in the, you know, if there is a God.
The space between.
The space between. And so if that's, let's say that's like the thesis, then these movies are showing us the attempt and they're showing us these beautiful attempts. But everything else that happens, everything that's happening in all other aspects of these people's lives is not this movie. This movie is about the beautiful attempt, and that is romantic and it is alive and it is wonderful. But there's a line that I believe Celine says that, you know, sometimes I think that reality and love are like the polar opposites of one another. It's not exactly what the quote is, but that's the idea. And, you know, being like this idealized, you know, romance and, you know, this perfect, romantic impulse to find that connection. But what happens when life happens? What happens when there's children involved? What happens when that initial, you know, oxytocin goes away? Like, what happens? What happens next?
Well,
and that is the uncomfortable truth that eventually this movie will get into.
Yeah.
And I think the whole time it's aware of it, but like, that's not what the first movie for sure doesn't want to talk about that. And the second movie wants to start to lean into it, and then the third one will actually, display it in full force.
Yeah, so Celine's inner story, the kind of idea that she might not be realizing, or maybe she is and just pointing it out in this way, is when she tells the story about as a kid, her mother used to wonder why she was late to school, and she was, looking at the trees and the leaves and the beautiful walnuts and all that sort of stuff. And then she talks earlier in the movie with Jesse about whether or not he had traveled to Eastern Europe at any point. And she talks about going to Warsaw, which was just getting out of communist control when she was there, and how with no capitalism there was no advertisement. She couldn't watch TV because it was in a different language. And while she was visiting, all she ended up doing was like walking around, writing and reading and stuff like that. She's like, it was very peaceful to not be bombarded with capitalism over and over again. And the same thing goes with like her, on her way to school, delaying, staying in these kind of beautiful, like internal moments of, learning and progressing in, artistic avenues and so. But what she forgets, and what Jesse forgets too, is that you eventually have to go to school. You eventually, like, these moments, these nights in Vienna, this talk in Paris are great, and they're romantic, and they're these things you're never going to forget and always come back to. But to make a relationship work, you got to go to school at some point.
Yeah.
You got to deal with advertisements. You have to deal with, like, having to buy food and stuff and watching TV.
The other side.
Like, you have to deal with life, and life is not romantic. And so, like, that's what these movies do a great job of. Like, you're seeing the most romantic things possible in the first movie and parts of this movie, and you're like, this is awesome. But over and over again, it re-emphasizes this is a piece of time.
Yeah.
This is not their life. And their life, when they are not together in these brief encounters, are terrible.
Ultimately, is this whole trilogy anti-romance?
I think it's anti that idea that this is every day is going to be like this.
Yeah,
I wish our entire relationship was just our first date over and over and over. It's like that. That's not how it works.
But it cannot be anti-romance because it's showing us that this is a part of life. This is a beautiful part of life. It also is smart enough to know that. I mean, so many romantic movies, right? They don't talk about that stuff. Like they're just like, no, it's always great. Like Sandra Bullock, Ryan Reynolds, it's wonderful.
The Proposal,
it's hilarious, and it's just nothing but great stuff.
Betty White.
She is in that
Dancing
movie.
Around
I
the
believe
Fire.
she does the whole thing where they're like, hey, you guys, what if an older person rapped? Do you think that'd be fun?
That and was like the most sexual character in the movie and kept on wanting them to bang and have kids.
Yeah. That's
her entire character arc.
It's a real great one. But it is saying, that, and I think you said, well, life isn't romantic. Well, life is romantic, and it's also not romantic. Romanticism and romance is a part of life, and it is, they talk about, is desire the fuel? That's another conversation that happens, and, that's beautiful, and that's okay. I think that we just have to be fully formed people and understand, as you said, that, going to school is also part of it. And being disciplined and being able to, experience those beautiful moments, but then also have the wherewithal and the maturity to know that what you need to do to maintain that. And also accept, right, that there's Buddhist stuff that they talk about like, suffering and not having desire and things like that, but that, accepting that, like, it absolutely will not always be like these romantic, wonderful, beautiful connections, and that's going to be part of it too, and being okay with that. These are all, I feel like these are lessons that we learn as we are growing older in life, just as these characters are, and they're on the precipice of acknowledging and learning these things, but they're not quite there. They don't know. They have experience. But this is, Jesse's on wife number one here. Yeah. He's got one young child, and not to take this conversation in a million directions, but the introduction of like, well, we had a child, and I'm willing to go through whatever needs to happen to be with my child. I mean, how children, and this point is brought up here, but it will be much more explored in the next movie. But this is a huge topic in life. Like, what do children do to romance?
Well, and it's found out more clearly in the next movie.
Total anchors?
That the reason why Jesse got married was because they got pregnant.
Yeah, he says as much.
Yeah, he doesn't fully say it in this movie. He doesn't like
but retroactively
yeah.
when he's divorced from her, he does say that
over and over and over again.
Sure, I mean, of course he would. Why wouldn't he? But as someone, I had kids young, and it was a huge blessing, and it was a huge. I mean, it changed my life in so many ways, and it changed my life in so many ways. Like, as far as what are your priorities? My priorities, I don't know if I was ever, I unfortunately wasn't ever, taking trains through Vienna, but the minute that happened, it was like my priorities are different. And that does cramp dilute the romantic notions of what we would ideally love our lives to be all the time. It doesn't dilute it, but it complicates it. There's more characters. It's not just, I mean, it's about more than just, me.
Yeah. And obviously this conversation that they're having between Jesse and Celine has to come to an amping up moment. Like, it has to fully burst because of what they're talking about. And so Jesse, again, trying to extend the conversation, trying to extend the time with her. They get off the boat. The car has come to pick him up as has been scheduled. And he offers to give her a ride home on the way to the airport.
Like a creep. No.
And they get in the car together, and then Celine just drops it.
I was fine until I read your fucking book. It stirred shit up, It reminded me how genuinely romantic I was, how I had so much hope in things, and now it's like I don't believe in anything that relates to love. I don't feel things for people anymore. In a way, I put all my romanticism into that one night, and I was never able to feel all this again. Like, somehow this night took things away from me, and I expressed them to you, and you took them with you. It made me feel cold, like if love wasn't for me.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
You know what? Reality and love are almost contradictory for me.
There it is.
It's funny. Every single of my exes, then they're married. Men go out with me, we break up, and then they get married.
Been
and
there,
later
sister.
they call me to thank me for teaching them what love is, and that I taught them to care and respect women.
I think I'm one of those guys.
I want to kill them. Why didn't they ask me to marry them? I would have said no, but at least they could have asked. But it's my fault. I know it's my fault because I never felt it was the right man. Never. But what does it mean, the right man, the love of your life? The concept is absurd. The idea that we can only be complete with another person is evil, right?
Can I talk?
I guess I've been heartbroken too many times, and then I recovered. So now, from the start, I make no effort because I know it's not going to work out. I know it's not going to work out.
You can't do that. You can't live your life trying to avoid pain at the expense of
you know what? Those are words. I've got to get away from you. Stop the car. I want to get out.
No, don't get out.
It's being
Keep
around
talking.
you, okay?
Hey, hey.
Don't touch me. I want to get on a cab. Monsieur, arrêtez-vous. Non, c'est bon, au feu là.
No,
Juste au feu,
no,
quoi. Non, il y a un
keep
métro
going.
même.
I mean, in my own life and in my brief stint of being a bartender for about 2 years, I've heard the end of this conversation happen so many times where the girl is finally like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And she leaves the bar, and the guy's like, oh, babe, come on. No, get away from me. It's you. I can't be around you anymore. Then you see him the next day. They come in, hanging their heads, and they're a little bit in their cups and all that. But whatever.
Potentially.
This scene just floored me.
Yeah.
It is incredible. Like, her, she's losing it. She's losing her shit a little bit. But it's still so controlled in the performance, and Ethan Hawke has to be in frame and acting along while she's talking the entire time, just doing a phenomenal job I'll talk more about that in the technical part near the end because I wanted to bring up a couple of things that I noticed. But this hits so many conversations that you and I have had about, love and relationships and stuff like that. And, kind of having it beat you down over and over again until you come up with these, defense mechanisms for how you're going to, keep away from the pain and stuff like that.
Avoidant attachment.
Yeah, and Jesse's like trying to be the positive voice inside, but like he has to also know that he could give the same speech if somebody was telling him about, if he had to recount his past relationships and stuff like that.
It's
so
hard.
it works beautifully. Her performance is incredible in that
great.
whole scene. And yeah,
This is the reality, right? This is when they talk about going to school.
yeah, yes.
Right? Like this is okay, like this is wonderful. And what happened there in that evening was wonderful. It changed my life. But then the aftermath happened, and then this is actually the end result of what happens with these romantic relationships that don't go exactly how I would anticipate. And I give a little something, and she feels robbed, and she feels hopeless a little bit. And as a result, and this is, I have been reading about attachment styles lately, and that you do avoid an attachment to just like to be like, I don't want to allow myself to get too close. And she says as much, literally, like I don't try in the beginning. And I've been in situations where I've lived this way, where what's even easier is just not trying. Or just like, do kind of go through the motions here and there, but not really trying to get, the end goal, not try to really get something that's going to be meaningful and life-changing. Because once you try that a few times and it doesn't work, that's really it's literally heartbreaking.
Well, and it goes back to your point that you made about the kid being the really reason why Jesse's in the marriage. If no kid happens, like I said earlier, does he just continue to have these same stories? Are they doing the same thing where because of this moment in Vienna, they're both worried about being in long-term relationships? They're essentially submarining them without realizing it over and over and over again. Like she's talking about the fact that she has had all these boyfriends who eventually marry the next girl after her because she's the cool girl that teaches them what love is and like how to treat a woman. And she could also just as easily listen to herself and be like, well, the reason why they married the next person and not you is because you didn't realize you were ruining the relationship without realizing it. Like they didn't want to marry you because they could tell you weren't trying.
Your one foot was out the door.
Yeah,
you weren't all in.
Oh, I want to be intimate and close with this person, but the entire time I'm trying to do that, I can tell that they're ready to leave if anything goes wrong.
And that can be real tough.
Well, that's
to be on the other end of that.
It's an impossible way to start a long-term relationship is if one party is constantly being like, well, if we have a bad enough fight, I know they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
And, it goes back to the fact that Jesse could very well be stuck in a relationship. Again, we have no idea. We don't know the other side of the story for him. But because of the kid influencing the relationship to continue on and on, like he could very well be justified being like, this is a failed thing. It never was supposed to happen in the first place. Yes, I am sabotaging it in many ways, but that's also inevitable because I don't actually love this person. Now I'm with the person that I actually love. There is hope. I can, move forward and see something positive in this. But will life also ruin that?
But let's play the cynic, okay? Here we go. Playing the cynic. Jesse, and his wife doesn't have a name, right?
Nope.
We don't get her name. We'll just call her Jesse's wife. Jesse's girl. What if they had a night? I'm going to guess. I'm going to put this out there. And again, I'm playing the cynic, and that's fine. But like they had a night. Maybe they had maybe they had a few wonderful nights. So I'm going to say that they had, they maybe had also some romantic, lovely nights. And then life happened. And then, yes, I mean, okay, do we know, was that romantic connection as intense as the one with Celine? Well, maybe not. If we're to believe Jesse, it was not.
He wrote a book about one of the nights.
Oh, God. But not to mention, what if you were Jesse's wife and you're like, what's that book about?
Yeah, you gotta...
He was sleeping on the couch for a couple of weeks, just like...
For sure.
Really? So our relationship not book worthy?
Nope.
No, not at all. This one's a bestseller.
It's also made up.
Yeah, no, babe, that didn't happen. It's just like, whatever. But is this a convenient story that he tells because he finds himself in this romantic, invigorating, alive situation right now?
Yeah. I mean, again, you can go watch this an hour and 20-minute movie over and over and over again and come up with different answers to these questions, because like it is the most rewatchable movie in that way, because you can come away with something like, is Jesse an asshole? Yes, you could definitely see it as like
he's not an asshole.
Yeah, like his relationship could be fine. He's the one absolutely submarining it. He's reaching out to this girl from his past.
But if we believe in true love, and if we want to believe,
then it's the most romantic thing in the world.
Absolutely, and he's not. So there's so many ways to go. I know we should move on to the end, but before we do, the scene in the limo where she almost touches him and stuff like that, like, so good.
Yeah,
it's great stuff.
And a note, because you brought that up, they never kiss.
Yeah.
They hug. Yeah. So, like, we talked about it in the first episode after they break the kissing barrier and then they can't keep their hands off each other.
And this time,
they do a good job in this movie of keeping their hands off each other for most of the time.
Restraint.
Yeah. So we get to the end. Jesse, again, is just really dragging this out as long as possible. I'll ask you the question that everyone's asking in a little bit. But he offers to walk her into... to her front door.
Come on.
Well, she invites him in. He just says to the door. Then he's like, "Hey, you should play me a song," because he's been badgering her about playing him a song. She's like, "One song," so he gets invited up. Immediately, she's like, "Let me make you tea." So she's extending it herself.
But she also tries to not sing the song so many times. Meanwhile, we don't know this at the time, but she's got that waltz in the chamber.
Yeah, that she's
ready
just
to
been
go.
playing for everybody.
Like, I do have a song exactly, that's about you.
She learned that bit from the poet in Vienna, who just has the one pre-written
plugs
thing.
It in. And I do love that they say that multiple times.
Call that out for sure.
And with multiple situations, like, do you just plug that person's name in here? Because we do, which keeps the doubt alive of like, is this real?
Yeah, and it goes back to Jesse from the first movie, who thinks that all these magic tricks that's all they are. They're just magic tricks.
Yep. Are these just players of the game?
And so Jesse's settled in on the couch. He's throwing on a little bit of Nina Simone.
After the waltz, right?
After the waltz, yeah. So I don't have that, but she plays that for him. And then Julie Delpy just goes and improvs the final scene of the movie.
Baby, you are gonna miss that plane.
I know.
So
So good. So...
you got to get to the laugh, though.
And that's it.
That's
and then
the
it
best.
fades out, and you're like, what? Is this over? Is this... I need to talk about this right now.
So the question that everyone's asking, when does he decide that he's not leaving?
Way before.
Definitely way before, but do you have a specific moment, do you think?
Does he have to be on the premises? Because I would think, I think going into this...
Do you think from the moment he sees her at the bookstore, he's like, I'm never leaving?
Yes, under the guise that, like, as long as she's into it, you know.
Sure.
But yes, as long as she's into it, he's going.
I
think it. From the moment, that's never a doubt.
I think it takes a little bit longer than that. I think it's when they start talking about sex in the park. And like we said then, the walls have like fully come down again, and they're getting back into their normal conversation back and forth about life and greater things and all that sort of stuff.
But he wrote the book so this would happen. So you're
But
saying
he didn't know it would happen.
But he writes. So
And there
but,
is
but
the-
once it did, he's like, engage. The plan is on. Let's go.
I suppose it's the same question as
100%.
did he want to sleep with her from the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the ultimate.
I don't know. Kind of playing around with the idea in my head. Not quite sold.
Do you think if she would have told him, no, you have to leave, he would have put up more of a fight?
Oof, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
I think you're right that, like, if she wouldn't have been as interested, he would have sloughed it off and been like, oh, yeah, you know.
Then it's like, okay, systems down, get out of here. But, she keeps it alive. And, the final thing, so the song, look up the song lyrics to that Nina Simone song. So, Just in Time. The lyrics, look up the lyrics. They're obviously like spot on. They're talking about exactly the situation that these people find themselves in. Of course, it's also talking about time. This ever present, central part of these films is, like, when do I find myself in this moment in time? Am I present in this moment? What's going to happen as a result of what will happen in the future based on what I do right now? And am I present right now? And is all of these things, am I feeling alive in this moment? And, also the fact that, like, I found myself in a movie that is so short, in a movie where the conversation has such high, value because there's only so much time for everything to be said. The end, she kind of goes into this somewhat meandering story about Nina Simone, right? I saw her live. And what does she do? She just starts playing piano, and then she'll stop, and then she kind of, waltzes over to the front of the stage and looks at someone, and you're kind of like...
She's doing crowd work.
She's doing crowd work, but you're like, okay, why? And then I didn't know that the movie was going to end as it does, but, like, that's that little antidote there, which I guess was improvised, as you're saying. Anecdote? Hold on.
Antidote?
Hold on. I fucking say things wrong too much. So that little antidote.
Anecdote.
Antidote
is for poison.
Anecdote.
Yeah, that little anecdote.
Oh, fucking shit, dude. Okay. All right, here we go. But that little anecdote that she says at the end of the whole movie, that, you're kind of like, well, why did they end with that? It's kind of like, maybe it's improvised and everything, but the actual story is about someone that just doesn't care about time. That doesn't, care about what's happening in the moment, that's willing to, even though everything says you should be playing this song, she's going to take her time and just do what she wants because she wants to.
Well, and it goes back to what we said earlier. She wants to be that little girl again, looking at the leaves, looking at the walnuts before going to school, delaying. She wants to continue to live in this romantic moment because they're now reliving what happened in Vienna again in Paris, and she doesn't want it to end. He doesn't want it to end.
They're choosing that, so that in that moment the choice is made. You're not gonna make that plain, are you? I'm going to go with romance and love in this moment right now. Everything else be damned.
And will it work out? Well, we'll see. And
We'll
before
see.
midnight, so we
All
got to
right.
get to our
Let's do it.
awards. Chris, your favorite scene of the movie?
I will go with it's going to be either the very end or the limo scene. I will go with the limo scene.
I am also going to go with the limo scene.
Okay, then I'm going to change it to the end.
There you go. The thing that I wanted to talk about with using the limo scene to lead into it is that what happens in a lot of movies is when they shoot dialogue, they're going to do from over the shoulder to obviously see the person that's talking and then do the cuts back and forth. What happens a lot in Hollywood movies is that you have stand-in actors for the person whose face is not in frame. You're just seeing the back of their head. So they get people that are not the actors to stand there, and their back of their head looks very similar so that the other actor in that scene doesn't have to be there the entire time. That's just how it's normally done. Usually Hollywood performers are good enough that it still seems like the two characters are talking to each other. In this movie, obviously, Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy are in every scene together, and there's no stand-ins while they're having their dialogue back and forth. Ethan Hawke is so good at just listening. Mm-hmm. And then when it flips to see him, even if he doesn't have like dialogue, just watching him listen to her do her lines, he's so stinking good at it. Like he's the greatest listener in a movie I've ever seen because it actually seems like he's hearing the words for the first time and like taking them in. Even though with this being improv, with this being, you know, very tightly written, when it gets to the end of it, they know exactly what the idea they want to get out of it is. He still makes it feel fresh every single time. It does not look rehearsed at all.
He does a great job. And for the record, my reasons for picking the very end would be things I just said about how the story that's told, and
you love a person randomly picking up their guitar and forcing people to listen
the
to
story
you
of
play
my
them.
life. That's my move, my man. So it's and then choosing to end it as he ends it right there.
Ambiguous again.
What a move! Great.
Going back to the well link later. Performance in the movie, I have to give it to Hawk again.
Okay.
I mean,
That's great.
Delpy, again, gets a lot of the best lines in the movie, but I just am transfixed on Hawk. And maybe it's because I'm a guy. I just like his perspective of everything going on better, and I relate to it more.
Yep. I will go with, and I was, before I even knew what your answer was going to be, go with Julie Delpy. Because I don't know, I'm more moved by what she has to say. But no, I can relate more to Jessie. I mean, they're obviously both do a great job. So, but yeah, I mean, she's just got some wonderful range. She does sing. She's the guitar player. Also, fun fact, the woman that they talk to as they're going into the apartment, that's her mom.
And her dad is the guy at the grill.
Hey! We know facts.
Woo!
All right.
MVP. So I gave last week to Linklater. I talked at the top of this episode how I think Linklater kind of took a step back visually, you know, from a directing visual standpoint in this movie, focus more on the writing. So MVP I'm going to give to the writing duo of Hawk and Delpy.
Okay. Did they wrote it?
Yeah, they're credited on this one. They're not credited on the
sure.
first one.
There's the whole controversy there.
Yep.
I'll give it to Linklater because this is him realizing the whole reason that he did before Sunrise. Yep, there we go. Before he did Sunrise, and he gets to realize his, kind of why he did that and make a different ending. And also, as I was saying at the top, like making this sequel this way is brilliant. And I think this is I prefer this one to the first one.
Great. So yeah, we can get into our ratings. I'm going to give it the same score. I think I gave a 9.6 to Sunrise. I'm going to give this a 9.6 too.
I'm going to go 9.3.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, these movies are going to be our top movies that we ever cover. So I'm very okay with
Look at us.
where
Look at
these
us.
land. Also, an hour and 20 minutes. I can throw this movie on whenever I want
Anytime.
and enjoy it. But we will be coming back to you with Before Midnight. Does it all turn out great and glam and good? Probably not. We've alluded to the fact that it kind of crashes and burns, but we will crash and burn with it together. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.